everyone, wish you a very good evening. I am Kanika Kumar, the founder of Minds That Matter. I've started MTMHOUR to spread awareness about children with disabilities and how we can help them and support them in their learning endeavors. Today, I have invited Miss Vandana Parasher. She has over 17 years of experience working as a primary school educator in international schools from New Delhi to Tokyo. She has been extensively involved in developing and reviewing of curriculum across different boards. And today she will be discussing about how we can make the learning engagements in the curriculum more accessible and inclusive for all kinds of learners. So welcome, Miss Vandana. We are very happy to have you over here. Wish you a very happy Teachers' Day.
Thank you so much, Kanika. Am I audible? I just wanted to check that first.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for having me on board tonight. And yes, it's a very, very special day. And spending it with special educators, I think, makes it all the more special. So yes, I'm truly delighted to be here tonight.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So I'll just dive in. My first question is, how can we make the learning engagements in the curriculum more inclusive?
Yeah, so I would, I always feel that curriculum is something that is more like a structure that you have at school to run, whatever plans that you have in place. It provides you with a scope and a broad framework. But then at the same time, it needs to have enough of flexibility and scope to accommodate modifications. And that's true for all learners. It's not just for children with special abilities, I would say, but an ideal curriculum for me is one that allows teachers to make adjustments as far as the learning engagements are concerned or the lesson objectives are concerned, and is not really bound so much by the standards, so to say. And therefore, I feel that, if there's too much of rigidity in a curriculum, you invite a lot of negative emotions. So children tend to experience all these negative emotions like anxiety, panic, feeling overwhelmed, or withdrawn, for that matter. So a curriculum needs to have that breathing space. Too rigid a curriculum is I feel it's too structured, and then any learner, any kind of learner would definitely feel claustrophobic. So having a little bit of space and scope for teachers to make adjustments and modifications is something that's really critical. And like, we discussed it earlier also, that it's about making learning accessible. And we are not trying to make it, easy, or give it away, or, put children in some kind of a comfort zone. That's not the idea. The idea is that we make learning more accessible. And how does one make that? I think that's the question that all of us are asking each other. Yes.
So when we make a curriculum more accessible, whom does it help? Does it help only the children who are struggling because they have special needs, or maybe the ones who are struggling with the English language? Or are there other groups of children who can be helped with this adjustment in the curriculum?
Yes, like I said, adjustment in the curriculum is for all students. And when we say all students, we feel that, every child needs a secure zone in the classroom when it comes to teaching and learning. And if that secure zone is created by the teacher when she has understood my needs as a learner, then she can be, or he can be, very, very, I would say, intuitive about my needs and what can be planned and done for the students. So, when we look at learning targets in the classroom, you have certain set targets for everybody. But at the same time, if I am aware of my learners' needs, then I would definitely make adjustments in those learning targets. So we always look at, the kind of learners that we have in the classroom. Then we say, these children will do well with the set targets that we have. Now, there are certain children for which I feel that, to make it more accessible to them, I need to make that kind of adjustments in my lesson objectives. Do I need to tweak it, or do I need to, pace it out, or do I need to give more time? Now, all those are the considerations that we bring in while making adjustments in the curriculum, and again to make it more accessible. And all of this is done in consultation with the special educator, because often I have seen that the teachers feel, well, I'm not trained, and what do you expect from me? And that's like a very common, the thing that you hear. But at the same time, I feel any good teacher, any sensible and sensitive teacher is aware of picking up the nerve of the child, and understanding that, here there is something that needs intervention. And once she identifies that, then you, of course, bring in the special educators and come on the same platform and start working with them. So when you're asking that who is benefiting, I feel if as a teacher I am tuned in to my students' needs and their capabilities, then I would be making adjustments to suit every child's learning needs.
Right.
And because we work with mild to moderate cases, so it's, I would say, so it's manageable for a teacher. We are not with extreme cases where, a teacher struggles to that extent that she feels that, I'm unable to cope with the difference. But yes, we do look at training all our teachers, even for the mild and moderate cases. How do you address the difference in learning styles?
Okay. So like you mentioned that it can be quite an overwhelming process for a teacher to support different kinds of learning needs in the same classroom, and they require a lot of training to be able to do it meaningfully and effectively. What is the role that the administration plays in empowering the teachers?
Yes, I think administration, because it's like sitting up there, guarding you, supporting you, extending a lot of encouragement and empathy. I feel they have a critical role to play when it comes to taking up a program that requires, working with special needs children and the learners. So we look at, as administration, we look at creating systems and processes which enable teachers and learners and parents, for that matter, to come on the same platform. So one is that how do you establish clear communication with the parents? How do you get them on board? Because for a long time, we've seen that parents stay in the state of denial. And there's a lot of effort that goes into showing them the picture. So sometimes if the form tutor or the class teacher is unable to put it across, or the special educator is finding it hard to put it across, then of course we look at, role of administration, that, okay, let's have a meeting together and let's convince or convey our point of view. And the whole idea is, why are we doing it? We are not doing it for ourselves. We realize that the child needs support. And with this support, we are able to bridge the gaps that are going to increase, as the child is moving ahead. So it's a holistic picture that you have to show to the parent, and not just that, okay, need is identified and the support has to be given. There's a long-term implication of not, understanding the gravity of the situation right now, and it might lead to a lot of issues later on. So first is getting that communication in place, and then I think it's important to sensitize the teachers also that you have. A lot of teachers, like I said, feel sometimes inequipped to deal with students, and of course they need strategies. They need to know what to do. While they're all they're willing, they have the right intentions, but at times when they're not equipped with the right tool or an understanding, we can make mistakes. Therefore, we create systems and processes which again help teachers. So we look at creating certain those sessions and planning the sensitization for teachers, and not just for the class teacher, but for every teacher who's going to come in contact with those students. We share the characteristics of that learner, the beauty of the child, and I think that is where one has to begin. That what is special about the child, and special is not just that need. the special thing is the beauty of their child, that this child is absolutely creative, or is inclined towards listening to music, or this is something that is fabulous about the child. And I think that gets the teachers to buy in this whole idea of, okay, I think I can manage, because then she starts to relate to the child, and not just see it as a difficult case, because that's what I think a lot of us tend to see it as. So when you begin with identifying the normal aspects of the child, and then you gradually talk about that, these are some of the areas where the child requires assistance, or these are the strategies that I have seen working, fine and working well with the child. I think those are the aspects of the training that I think as administrators, we need to bring in more and more into our processes. So strengths and strategies, need to be shared. And because for us, it's a paid program, so there is a lot of accountability that comes in. Therefore, it's the other aspect of being in an administrative role. You've got to keep an eye on how things are going, and not just to see where the gaps are, because that's, of course, one does, without any effort. But yes, also to identify if your special educator is struggling somewhere, or she's finding it hard to deal with a parent, or she's struggling with the timetable issues, or collaborating with the form tutor class teacher. What are the areas? Because sometimes if the special educator is not approaching somebody, does not mean that she is in a secure zone. So if we are expecting the teachers to create a secure zone for the child, at the same time, it's the role of the administrator to create that secure zone for a special educator. Yes, where they feel supported, they feel encouraged, they feel that, yes, they feel heard. And there is empathy, because I've often heard them saying that, well, it's a thankless job. And we've spent hours and hours, working for children, and but that's what people think, that it's one child that I'm sitting with, and I think all of us need to somewhere acknowledge the fact that that one child requires that kind of planning, energy, effort, and it's not less. It's at par. It's sometimes more. It's more strenuous, because you do not see the results instantly, what a teacher would see in a normal classroom. So it takes so much more and time and effort and patience that goes into it, that I think a special educator requires a lot of motivation, I feel, and timely encouragement, and a support from administrators. So apart from those thorough check-ins that we keep doing, we also check in the mental well-being of a special educator, just so that they feel that, yes, we are being taken care of. Yes.
I think you beautifully explained the role of the administration, and I would just like to highlight two of the very important things which actually get neglected a lot. One is that having a strength-based perspective about the child is very important, to believe that these are the strengths, to identify them, and instead of labeling that, these are the things that the child is not able to do. And secondly, when we talk about accountability, it's not just about evaluating somebody's work, but also being there to give them the required support as teachers. So I think it was explained really very well. So that brings me to my next question. We've been talking about what the administration can do and how we do all of these tweaks. What are the different levels at which we can actually bring in these supports in the curriculum to support a struggling child in the classroom?
Yes. So I think it begins with identification. I always believe in the value of a pre-assessment, a baseline assessment, that you have to have some data with you to be able to comment on something. Of course, a teacher has that kind of I say that inner ability to gauge, and not everything can be put down on pen paper in the form of data. That also I believe, but at the same time, just to make an informed decision, to come to an understanding of what kind of learners I have in the classroom, there has to be some kind of diagnostic assessment being carried out. So once that is taken care of, over a period of time, and not just one or two, but that's the longer process. I feel that, identifying the child, then I think there are at different levels one can look at making those accommodations. I always personally feel that, first thing is like, I start with toning it down. That when you realize that, when you talk about content and you say that, okay, my overall content is targeting the class that I have, the grade level that I have. And now to make it more accessible for other children, do I need to tone it down? Do I need to look at my, lesson objectives and see that, okay, if there are 5 of these, or if there are 7 of success criteria that I have, what is the most suited? What is most critical? What is necessary? So I identify what is really important for the child to get. And that I call filtering, that you filter. You don't have to do everything. Because then I think there's a lot of pressure on special educators that I need to cover whatever the teacher is doing. No, that's not possible. Because coverage is not the idea. The idea is you identify what is really critical and essential for the child in this entire unit. So if as a teacher I'm working with, let's say, 8 success criteria, that a child should be able to, know this, do this, and understand this. We look at KDUs, knowledge, understanding, and skills. Then a special educator then needs to somewhere look at, okay, in consultation with the form tutor, that you tell me what is really critical in knowledge, in understanding, and in terms of skill development. And then I will create my framework around that. So that she is not feeling overwhelmed. And we look at, okay, yes, I think where the child is, I think if the child comes to this level, and maybe you pick up 3 aspects of knowledge and not 5, or 2 aspects of the skill and not all. That's where I think that conversation for us has helped us great deal in taking and in somewhere blending them into the mainstream. Because when you have the success criteria for the entire grade and some chosen one for the class for your special needs children, then I think you're able to pitch it at some level, even as a form tutor, because you have an idea that, okay, this is what I'm doing for other children, and this one aspect of the learning is matching with the special needs child, and I think I can create an engagement which is targeting this and scaffold it a little more. So then my target areas in terms of content are not as wide, I would say, as it is for the rest of the class. It's carefully thought through and identified what is critical. Then I always feel that, any task which is open-ended and reflective in nature invites everybody to participate. So creating tasks which are more open-ended in nature and which do not have that kind of, one a unique response, or, it's just focusing on the information that I need to bring in. It's more conceptual in nature. And sometimes when you bring in questions which are more reflective, then every child feels empowered and they feel like, yes, I think I can also contribute. So having those open-ended reflective tasks, we've seen have also helped children in participating and, coming on board. Then we also look at when we have assessments, that assessment need not be given as it is to, a special child. So what kind of modifications can one do? So we first of all begin with the cosmetic changes. And when I say cosmetic changes, I mean the look and feel of it. Sometimes, when you have a packed question, or, an assignment or a task sheet or a worksheet, children tend to just, step back a little and they get
overwhelmed by the paper having too much information.
Too much that, and that's overwhelming. They feel that, I don't think I can handle this. So those cosmetic changes, increasing the font, spacing it out, highlighting some of the pointers, or keeping it bold, simplifying the language, that I think is the first step. If a teacher is able to make that assessment accessible just by making those changes in the first go, I think that does not alter too much in terms of your expectation, but yes, it's the first step. Then you look at, okay, can I pace it out over a longer duration? That rather than, while it is a time-bound task for everybody else, I need to make it a little more flexible for my child that I'm supporting. So then I'm ready to give a little more time. So there is this extension that you look at, and you don't want to give it all. You maybe say, okay, 10 questions we do today, and maybe 5 next day, and then something else the other day. And that's how pacing it out also helps. Then we also look at readiness of the child. There are days some children are absolutely not in the mindset to take an assessment. And I don't think assessment, and I strongly feel that assessment is somewhere, the term is losing its essence, not the idea. It's becoming more integrated into your teaching and learning. The moment I realize and I think and I say that, okay, I think my children have got this and I'm ready to move to the next concept. That moment I have already made an assessment. So what did I do? And that's what we make the teachers also think that, okay, you must have done something. So why do we have to make assessment such a big thing for children that they begin to get a bit scared or nervous, or they see it as something that is coming to them, to be taken by them, and they will be judged on the basis of few things. So
there are too many children who get anxious with the whole idea that I have a test to give an assessment.
Yes. So as a school, we are now gearing towards doing away with the idea of formal summatives, even summative assessment. We are bringing everything into our ongoing formatives are given more priority, because that's where a dialogue can happen. That's where you can get into a conversation with a child and exchange some certain ideas on what was right and what can be done next. And I think the whole idea of learning is that, and that's what assessment used to do. It's just that for us it was restricted to marks and grade. But unless you have a conversation on an assessment, I don't think we've gone ahead, in terms of taking the child forward. So if our perspective towards assessment changes a bit, and we are a little bit more flexible towards tracking the child's progress against the set criteria that we had identified initially, I think a lot of these issues can be handled. I understand there is this whole thing of time, that I have this much time. But yes, again, it's important to prioritize. What do you want? You want the child to get overwhelmed because you want to pack everything because of shortage of time? Or you want to let go of this whole thing and say, okay, no, but today I want the child to be absolutely ready for this, and not really, push him or her to take on something, then get anxious in the process. So that is, I think, is important from a teacher's point of view. So again, pacing it out, checking for readiness. A lot of technology can come into, make learning exciting, make assessments accessible to the learner. There are, n number of tools available, and because it's more engaging, the child feels involved in the process, and more willing to participate. And as a learner, I feel if I'm willing, then I'm ready to challenge myself. I'm ready to take on something which is a little bit more. It is pushing me a bit more. So getting the child on board with you is the first thing. So and I think technology these days is doing it, because it's all virtual. Right now, it's all the more challenging than it used to be. But yes, to speech to text, all those tools which are inbuilt where, and I've often seen that a lot of children struggle with writing, and somewhere in our minds we have, if a child is not able to write, then they can't do anything. If the child can't write down the sums, then they can't do anything. But I think we forget that the whole idea of language is expression and communication. And communication happens in various ways. It's not just writing. Writing is one, right? So there are other ways of getting information across or getting the child to respond. And if, as an educator, I'm aware of different ways in which understanding can be assessed, then I would create those opportunities, and I will not just stay restricted to writing. And because writing becomes tangible, it's easier to produce in front of somebody. It's easier to, justify. And I think that's why we keep laying emphasis so much on writing, that we forget that there are other stages before that build up and lead to a written piece. It can't really, the child cannot jump onto it. Therefore, because there's a gap, these children feel, and I've seen it a lot with a lot of other children as well, but the special needs children, they tend to feel a little that, I don't want to write. So looking at other ways of
and
checking
some of
for
them, it's not just about not wanting to write. Some of them actually struggle with writing. Either it would be spellings pulling them down, or it would be their sentence structure. So they require different kinds, because I feel as a teacher, like you rightly pointed out, the focus needs to be that we want to assess how much the child has actually understood, and not the way that it's going to be done.
Yes.
Because that can be modified.
Yes. So you're right. So understanding, if one has to check, then there are a lot of tools available. But at the same time, I feel that because we're preparing children for next phase in life, and being in India, being surrounded with people who judge everybody by the way one produces a written piece, a lot of times, not always, but yeah. So considering all those, I say the expectations that we are surrounded with from parents, a lot of times, one has to be mindful of that as well. Like, what is my program which is supporting the language development in these children? And so while I'm trying to make it accessible, I have to be careful. Am I making it easy? Or so that judgment I need to take constantly, in my mind. And I think incorporating choice into teaching and learning is I think picking up like anything these days. Is there an echo? Or it's Am I audible?
Yes, please go on.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes. There is some echo. Yeah. So incorporating choice is another thing which is critical, and I feel that in learning, if a child can identify the way he or she would like to present the understanding and the learning that the child has developed, then we've seen better results. And not staying confined to that one way of presenting your understanding or your work. So giving choice is another thing that has been proving really helpful.
Okay, good. So when we give all of these, we make all of these modifications in the curriculum, there are many times that the other children, they feel that this child is getting the easy way out. Like you mentioned that we are toning it down, we are not giving them the easy choice or making it a comfort zone. But what happens is, when they are actually being given all of these accommodations in the classroom, other children have a really difficult time understanding how this works for them, and not themselves getting all of these accommodations. So I think you rightly pointed out earlier that these accommodations are not just for children who struggle in the class, but for any kind of learner who